This is a video of 2.2 notes, problem solving with rational numbers in decimal form. The first question is right here. It says 2.65 plus or minus 3.81. What we did was we estimated and then calculated. So to estimate 2.65 plus or minus 3.81, we just simply rounded these two numbers to be a 2.5 and a 4. A plus beside a minus creates a minus. It's like adding debt, or in other words, subtracting. So that's good. 2.5 minus 4 is negative 1.5 because the difference between 4 and 2.5 is 1.5, and we're subtracting the bigger number, so that's why we have the negative. Putting this question in your calculator gives you negative 1.16. Part B, we subtracted a negative. So it's negative 5.9, subtract a negative 6.83. Subtracting a negative becomes a positive. So we're estimating about 6 and about a 7. So the difference between a 6 and a 7 is 1, and the positive number is the higher number. The negative one is smaller, so it's a positive 1. Calculating these in your calculator, you should come up with 0.87. Try putting both of these in your calculator to see if you can come up with the calculated answers. Example 2, we simplified a minus a negative into a positive, plus a negative into a negative, and we went over here, and when we multiplied two negatives together, it yielded a positive. 2.5 minus 3.5 plus 7.8 should give you 6.8. Here's some that you should try on your own. You can use a calculator to try both of those questions. Okay, on this section, we're estimating the products and rounding. They tell us up here that, that if we're dividing or multiplying two positives, it's a positive. Dividing or multiplying a positive and a negative gives you a negative. Two negatives make a positive, and a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So basically, if there's an odd number of negatives that you count within any of these expressions, it will make a negative. An even number makes a positive. Here we estimated 3.2 times 4.5. It's kind of like 3 times 5 to give you 15. And then use your calculator. This is the same question, except for there's a negative in this one. So the answer, our estimate was a negative of the last answer, negative 14.4, and we were right. Here it's kind of like 20 divided by 10 if you do some rounding, which should give you 2, but of course the odd number of negatives in here makes a negative 2, and the answer was negative 2.2. Over here it's negative 20 divided by negative 10 gives you positive 2.2. So this is just simply us looking at the last question, realizing there's an even number of negatives, so that's going to make a positive, and so we just said the answer would be positive version of this. So it's positive 2.2, and putting that in your calculator gives us 2.2. Here we're just doing some calculator work. 0.45 times a negative 1.2. So the negative I'm talking about is, it's not the subtract button, but rather a negative in the brackets. Something like that. Okay. And this one up here is the same thing. So it's negative 2.3 divided by negative 2.5. Even number of negatives gives you a positive. Odd number of negatives gives you a negative. And now show you know in this section. And that's as far as we got in the notes.